Hello ladies and gentlemen, you're watching the Grant County, West Virginia Matrix Show. I'm your host, Brian Shreve. I have a number of topics I'm going to talk about today, but the first thing I am going to tell you is on May 16th I went to the courthouse and I filed to run for county commission. It cost me $399 and I believe 17 cents of my hard-earned money. But this is something I wanted to do. I've been thinking about running for about 15 years, and I finally figured I better go ahead and give it a try. But after I left the courthouse, I went to the post office and checked my mail and got this copy of the Grant County Presstitute. You heard me, Grant County Presstitute. Real big letters, it says on the front here, Miley wins commission seat. In the words of Donald Trump, fake news. This is fake news. He did not win the commission seat. He won the Republican nomination. The election is not over until November. I find this very irresponsible, the Grant County Presstitute. It makes me question whether or not, in the words of Donald Trump, is this a rigged election? This is some type of propaganda, subliminal messaging, if you ask me, because people will read that and they'll think, oh well, it's over, no big deal, and go on. That kind of threw me under the bus. I'm not mad about it though. I did not expect anything less out of the Grant County Presstitute. That's alright. I don't mind being the underdog. I've been an underdog my whole life. I'll come out fighting. I have some money set aside. I was going to go to the Presstitute office and have some ads put in the Grant County Presstitute. But I'm thinking about maybe just spending my money on something else. Maybe I can do some radio ads or something. I really don't want to give my hard-earned money to a newspaper that prints fake news. I think they should be ashamed of themselves. What it should say is Miley wins Republican nomination. I mean, this here just wins commission seat. Fake news, totally untrue. That's about all I'm going to say about that. I'm working on my professionalism. Moving on. Seen this section in the Presstitute about the council approving multiple building permits. Now, I'm not against permits. You know, I understand if somebody's got a big project that might affect drainage out onto somebody else's property or drainage out into the road, or if it's something close to a playground, something that's going to affect other people, I can understand having to apply for a permit. But as I read down this list, I see nothing but tyranny. You heard me, tyranny. Got one here, somebody wanted to remove a fence. Big whoop, let them remove the fence. They shouldn't have to ask for permission. If they built the fence and paid for it, that's their fence. They shouldn't have to ask for permission. Here's another one. Add a new arbor and extend a deck. How's that affecting anybody else? If somebody works every day, pays their bills, and they want to extend their deck, they should be allowed to extend their deck. They shouldn't have to ask for permission. Replace the front porch. If somebody got a bad porch, that's between them and their homeowner's insurance. That's their responsibility to keep their porch up. So why should they have to ask for permission to replace the porch? Replace windows and doors. You know, it's like this. Somebody buys a house, they're putting themselves in a position to where they are a slave to the banking cartel for 30 plus years, and they're paying for that house at least twice, sometimes 3 times in some cases, and they have to ask for permission to replace doors and windows. I'll tell you another thing. A person has the right to defend their property. Good doors and windows is a way to defend their property, their home. They should not have to ask for permission to do that. That's tyranny. Plain and simple, tyranny. You won't hear that word coming from any of the county commissioners, by the way. They won't talk about that because they're tyrants themselves. And it sounds to me like this is the city, I believe, doing this. Town council. Looks to me like they're tyrants too. I guess we got a bunch of tyrants running Grant County and Petersburg. Sad. People fought and died for our freedom, and these people here are having to ask for permission to replace porches and windows and doors. Give me a break. Moving on. To extend a back deck, dog pen, and to replace the floor on a porch. I want to tell you something. Somebody gets a dog, they're not allowed to let it run free. That's against the law. They got to get it vaccinated. That's the law. And they have to pay dog tax. That's the law. Then turn around, have to ask for permission to build a dog pen. That's unreal. Here's one to replace a roof. If somebody got a roof leaking, they got to replace it. But in order to do that, they have to ask for permission. Their own home, protecting it from rain, they have to ask permission to put a roof on. Here's one, railing and steps somebody had to replace and get permission to do it. Railing and steps. Folks, this country is being destroyed from within. That was predicted years ago. And it looks like basically communism has taken over, is gradually taken over. And we really didn't notice it because it's been moving in slowly. It's kind of like the ratchet effect. If I get elected county commissioner, one of the things that I'm going to look into is these permits. Like I said before, I'm not against permits totally. I understand that they are necessary in some situations. But this little nitpick stuff, it's uncalled for. That is tyranny. And my campaign slogan is going to be, take a stand against tyranny. That's my campaign slogan. I see entirely too much tyranny in Grant County and in Petersburg. Unreal. If people fought and died so that we could decide for ourselves how we want to live our lives and what we want to live in and how we want to build our homes, that's freedom. But when you have to get permission to do little tidbit stuff, give me a break. They're making money off this, I'm assuming. Not only do you have to get permission, you got to give them some money. They got to get their cut. The middleman got to get their cut. Seems like somebody's always screwing the little man. Can't get ahead in this world. Got these crooked politicians that want to do this to everybody. It's just, Moving on. I'd like to congratulate Mr. Miley on winning the popularity and personality contest, and that's what it is. Basically, these local elections, they all basically have the same platform. And like I said before, it's like looking at 4 bottles of Pepsi. You gotta sit there and pick out which bottle of Pepsi you want. They're all about the same. So it's the personality and popularity contest. And Mr. Miley, he's popular and has a good personality out of the other candidates that run. So I congratulate him. I do have some concerns about him. Supposedly he works at the Grant County Bank, from the way I understand. And my question is he going to quit working at the Grant County Bank if he gets in as commissioner? Because if he stays working at the Grant County Bank, that is a serious conflict of interest. That gives the Grant County Bank a competitive edge on all the other banks. It gives the Grant County Bank inside information. And that's not right. I think the Grant County Bank has screwed enough people over and made enough money. That's just my opinion. I think they have entirely too much inside information now. That's all I'm going to say about that. I don't want to ruffle too many feathers, but if you do a little digging around and do some research, there's some things that just don't look too good. There is one thing in Miley's ad that I really do like. It's something I thought about years ago. It's been bouncing around in my head. It's establishing internships within various departments of the courthouse, giving students the opportunity to learn more about county government. That's something I think needs to be done. That's one thing I agree with Miley on. We need to get the kids involved so that they can step in there and get things done. Right now, everybody's shut out. I mean, look how they shut out the day shift working class. Here I am, I paid almost $400 to run. I can't even get into a county commission meeting. So that just goes to show we are ruled by secrecy. I've said it before and I'll say it again. We are ruled by secrecy. And as I look at Miley's ad here, I do find something disturbing. Very disturbing. I don't see any mention of liberty, Constitution, Declaration of Independence, none of that. And to me, that's something that's number one with a politician, is defending the Constitution, taking a stand against tyranny. His ad is all business. A lot of it's stuff that we've heard from people in the past, politicians in the past, that said they was going to do this stuff, never got done. Just same old promises, same old regurgitated stuff. But there's nothing in here about taking a stand against tyranny. I find that very disturbing. I'm curious about this. When he was on the Board of Education, we had that school takeover, and school got released from the state while Miley was in there. Was that something he did, or did the standards change? I don't know. Same way with increased rank from 45th to 10th in the state. Did they change the testing and make it easier? As I can't see how the Board of Education can go in there and make the kids smarter. That's up to the kids and the teachers. But I think I remember hearing something about testing being changed, made easier or something. I don't know. Not 100% sure on that one. I'd have to do a little more research. But that's about all I have on today's show. So, until next time, stay safe and be careful out there, will you?